Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So today, we are going to be having a very interesting session. We'll be trying to understand what's currently influencing the markets, what are the key highlights for the week, what are the things that we're expecting to see in the week, and of course, we'll try to understand the key market structures, key price levels to know where the opportunities may lie in the market. Good morning, Caspar, and thank you for joining the session. Hey, Manombe, thank you. Thank you for joining the session. So let's get things going, and I'll be starting with the economic calendar. So as we all know, this week will basically mark the first week of December this year. But as we are normally getting the very first Friday of the month, being the non-farm payrolls, this weekend will not be the weekend we get to trade the non-farm payrolls. So on Friday, we'll only be getting the Canadian jobs data. So Monday, being as slow as it gets, we are basically looking at an economic calendar where you don't have any major events. So we had the SPPI coming in from Japan. And this is a change in the price of services purchased by corporations, which improved by 3% compared to the previous reading of 2.0%. So we have the CBI realized sales, that is for the UK. We also have a speech from ECB President Lagarde, and this is happening at 5 p.m. And of course, new home sales data at 6 p.m. So these are not majorly high impact news, so we don't expect much to be coming from this. Then moving on to Tuesday, we'll be having a speech from RBA Governor Bullock. Then later on, we get the Conference Board Consumer Confidence Survey, and this will be at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. So we have quite a number of speeches from FOMC members as well as the ECB President Lagarde. Then later on, we have CPI data for Australia. And of course, we get the interest rate decision by the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, and this will be on Wednesday at 4 a.m. So we'll get German CPI as well as a Spanish flash CPI at 11 a.m. on Wednesday. Then GDP data from Wednesday, and of course, a speech from Bank of England Governor Bailey at 6:05 p.m. on Wednesday. So later on, we'll get manufacturing PMI data from China at 4:30 a.m. on Thursday. And as we approach Friday, we get the core CPI flash estimate from the Eurozone. The ECB President Lagarde will also issue another speech at 4:30 p.m. on Thursday. And of course, the most anticipated news for the week, which will be the core PCE price index on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. So this remains the key major event for the week. Of course, we know that the PCE price index is the Fed's favorite measure of inflation. So out of investors, we'll be looking forward to reacting to this one. So we get the weekly unemployment claims on Thursday. Then later on Friday, we'll be looking at the employment change in Canada, as well as ISM manufacturing PMI in the US. And we will be looking to end the week in style with a speech from your favorite guy, and in this case, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who is due to participate in our fireside chat titled Navigating Pathways to Economic Mobility at Spelman College in Atlanta. So that's it. That's what we're expecting in the economic calendar this week. And now we can move on and check out what we will be expecting in the charts this week. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to type that in the comment section, and I'll be ready to respond to that right away. Hi, Francis. Hi, Molenga, Derek, as well as Kenneth. Hi, thank you guys for joining. So let's get things going. So first things first, we'll be starting with the dollar index. And as we all know, the dollar index managed to try and mount a comeback last week, but the comeback did not hold. well. So we saw Thursday and Friday being week losing days, and as we start a new week, what we are seeing is a continuation of the weakness of the dollar index. So the dollar index is a basket of currencies traded against the dollar. And in this case, it's basically showing that these currencies are strengthening against the dollar, or rather, the dollar is weakening against this basket of currencies. So with a weak dollar, we are seeing a resurgence of bullishness in these major currency pairs. For instance, the pound USD has been making quite a good run. So it has had one of the best months that we have seen recently. So we are seeing the pound gaining against the dollar, and of course, there's good chances that we'll be seeing some far more upside happening this week. So it's the same thing for the yen. The yen is also regaining against the US dollar. So in this case, if you zoom out, you can see that from the forward chart, we had this trend line here. So the trend line was broken, the market went down and then pulled back to retest the area. So this retest has taken some good time. You can see it's 3 consecutive days where USDN have been trying to break this level. But then the break did not happen, and there's a high likelihood that we're seeing the market dropping further back downwards. So in this case, with a weak dollar, then in this case, the potential, the market moving further back downwards becomes more likely. So as for Euro USD, it's a similar thing. We were seeing the market making a recovery. So from the forward chart, this is how it looks like. From the daily, this is how it looks like. So we had the market moving upwards, breaking this trend line, going down below, and then reversing all the way up to the upper trend line. Of course, if you move to the H4 chart, then we see that there's that potential that the euro continues moving higher. And of course, the new target becomes a round number, which is 1.103. So I expect to see at least some more momentum higher, and perhaps even 1.103 happening today. So for USD CAD, what we are seeing is a continuous movement downwards. So the market basically pulled back, retested this area here. Now we are seeing a continuation. So of course, obviously, the new target becomes the previous low. So there's a good chance we'll be seeing the market moving further back downwards. Then as for gold, we are seeing a continuous momentum upside. So as we opened the week early this morning, we saw a big burst of momentum higher, and in this case, all the way up to $2018 per ounce of gold. It's not years. So in this case, after the big momentum, we are seeing the market pulling back downwards and then consolidating. But then at some point, we will be expecting to see some continuation of the upwards momentum. So pretty bullish on gold this week, especially after we broke this area. Notice the triangle. This is something we had drawn last on Thursday. The market eventually broke towards the upper side and moved up with the momentum. So now, after the big burst of energy early this morning, I expect some form of continuation. So the day's high remains a key target. So as for AUD-USD, this was our pattern as per last week. We've already broken to the upper side, retested this area a couple of times. The market is about to break above this area. So there's a good likelihood we'll be seeing some further upside happening from AUD-USD. So US equity indices, we are seeing some form of pullback happening here. So from the 4-hour chart, this is how it's looking. From the 1-hour chart, this is how it's looking. So these two levels have been pretty solid, and the market has been unable to break them. So we could be seeing the market pulling back from them. The US 30 is the same. US 500 is the same. So there seems to be some very good resistance holding these markets. And it's time to observe as the market looks forward to retesting those areas. So I see some potential of the market getting back to the previous highs, retesting these highs. And this is the US 30 or the Dow Jones. This is the NASDAQ. So there's a potential that the market retests this area here. Of course, for the S&P 500, there's that potential that the market will retest this area. So as for the oil prices, they seem to be weakening further as we head into the OPEC Plus meeting, which will be happening later this week. So clearly, the market was attempting to break towards the upper side, failed and went back downwards, attempted to break again, failed, And now we are on verge of retesting the previous lows. And this is the low that we saw last week, around $66.756 per barrel of oil. So I expect to see some further downside movement from Brent oil prices. So European equity indices continue pushing higher. So this is the French 40 index, the Euro 50 index also pushing higher. And of course, for the FTSE 100, here we are seeing some form of weakness, but then the market is attempting to make a comeback. So clearly, this seems to be a very interesting area for anyone who is trading the FTSE 100 index. So that being said, today's session will be a little bit shorter than usual. I'm not seeing any questions. So at this point, I would like to thank everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining this session, and I appreciate every one of you. So remember to check out the latest episode of the Bullish Banter podcast. We have a lot of content that we have shared over there. Hopefully you get to learn something from that. So thank you guys. See you on the next session.